Notice where the tee is pointing as well, but I use the lower part of my arm to rotate, and look at the difference. Right, in the next 10 minutes or so, there's going to be some information which I guarantee will help you and allow you to take your ball striking to the next level. And to do that, you're going to need something that I think you can make at home. It's a homemade training aid. I've got a sweatband here on my elbow, I've pierced a little hole, and I've got a driving range tee poked through that to represent where the inside of my elbow is pointing. This, I think, for many of you will be a game changer. It's going to get you to think about ball striking in a different way and how you move that trail arm. Let's go through it. So as I take my address to the golf ball, I've got myself a 6-iron here, but obviously this will be the same for any golf club. Notice how the tee points in front of the golf ball. It points sort of target side of the ball. And you'll also notice that when I open up my trail palm, that basically represents where the club face is pointing. If I open the club face, my palm faces out to the right, and obviously if I close the club face, the palm faces down to the left. Fine, so what happens in the golf swing? Well, we take our trail arm and we rotate and we fold it. We rotate the shoulder and we get into this beautiful top of the backswing position. And then what do we do from there? We initiate our downswing. Now, as we get to about this point here, look where the palm faces. The palm faces out towards where you're viewing this from, which means that that is also where the club face is pointing. Now, when we hit the ball, we don't want the club face pointing there. We want the club face pointing pretty much down towards the target. Notice where the tee is pointing as well. It's also pointing pretty much straight out in front of me, different to where it was at setup. So from here, what do most golfers do? Well, they take that tee and they point it back to where it was pointing at address, back towards the target. What's that done to my club face? Well, it squared my club face. Perfect. So we've taken the club face, which rotated in the backswing, we delivered it down here, and then we used that tee and that arm to repoint the club face back towards the target. It's exactly what we need to do. But it isn't, because that looks like a pretty terrible impact position. Notice how my arm is separated from my body. Notice how my hand is behind the club head. Yes, the face might point straight, but I'm going to get some pretty terrible strikes from there. I'm not going to hit the ball particularly far, and it's not going to feel particularly good. So this is where the key message comes in. Watch what happens for my palm and the tee as I rotate my arm. Tee points down, palm points down. Tee points up, palm points up. But I can also hold the tee in place and rotate the lower part of my arm independently of that tee. So what we're looking to do in the golf swing is the club face will open during the backswing, have natural rotation. The arm will have some rotation, and then we find this position here. Notice where the tee points. The tee points away from me towards that camera, as does my palm. But to square the face, I don't do this. I simply do this. Club dropping. Notice the difference. Palm and tee point away. Shoulder rotation causes tee and palm to face down the target, but that's going to give me that really poor impact. What I'm looking to do is feel like the elbow stays leading the palm, but I use the lower part of my arm to rotate, and look at the difference. What's happened here is as I've done that, I'm able to keep my palm facing more down as well as forwards. That helps me put a huge amount more pressure onto the golf ball. If we do it from the shoulder, it's really hard to have the palm facing down. So it will be really common to see someone achieve a really nice position at the top, really nice position here, and they will use their shoulder to strike the ball. Now you can see just how terrible that looks. The contact was actually around about 6 to 8 inches before the ball, and I don't know if you saw it from that camera, it actually went pretty straight. It was a terrible strike, but that's what many of you will be experiencing. You were able to hit the ball pretty straight with your irons, but the strikes just feel terrible. There's no compression there, there's no distance, and it just feels like there's something missing. Well, this is exactly what is missing. So how would I have you rehearse this? Well, first of all, just try it without a golf club. Take this arm position, move it back, move it to here, keep the tee pointing away, and then start to square that palm. And you can see how I'm able to do that. The elbow is very much in front of my hip. The palm is facing forward and down, and the tee is pointing away. Very different to this type of movement, which many of you will be doing and will feel natural to you. So phase number one is just start to rotate the lower part of the arm, keep the tee peg pointing away from you. Ultimately, we can just introduce the golf ball, and when you first introduce the golf ball, let's start relatively short. So I'm going to find my delivery position, and from there I'm going to go ahead and try and do what I just did in that little rehearsal. Okay, ball flight super nice and low, really felt compressed, took a nice big divot after the golf ball. It's probably not gone no more than 100 yards, but I can tell you it was compressed, it felt solid, it felt like there was some energy, some power there. That's exactly what I'm looking to do when I do this little exercise. So, how the trail arm works, you versus a tour pro, probably a huge difference. If we can start to get you to do a little bit of what they do, start to train this arm to work a little bit better, understand the rotations of your shoulder and your lower forearm and how they are different, we can start to unlock some different movements, unlock some better golf. And it really wouldn't surprise me if you start to hit the ball further, straighter, and it just feels a little bit better off the club face too. And that is ultimately what we're trying to do. And I'm pretty sure if you do that, the scores will start to drop as well. So thank you for watching. Get yourself a little homemade training aid, and you can start to play so much better golf. Thanks for watching.